Morning, guys. Just figured I'd go and start by touching base on injuries, because I'm sure it's like questions by a lot of guys, and really start with a macroscopic view of things. You start the season, and probably the three most notable transfers, I guess, from a media and public relations standpoint. You got a guy like Grant Gunnell, hadn't been able to play a single snap this year, out for the season with an injury. A guy like Greg Emerson, who was pretty noted. Nobody's asked about him. He was medically disqualified before the season even started. And then you get a guy like Shamar Nash, who also hadn't been able to play. And then, guy that was playing, Austin Myers, starting left tackle, out for the year with a leg injury. Obviously Sanchez Blake, like I said, is out for the rest of the season as well, with surgery. And, we're continue to progress. Seth Hennigan is still day to day. We're going to see where he's at, when the dust settles here, as we prep for SMU next week. And then, Drake Clark, still day to day. He's still limited in what he's able to do, but hopefully we get a chance to get him back. Other than that, we're continuing to progress in the right way, but we've been a little bit banged up, but that's part of it. We were able to practice this morning and get out there and get some good on good competition, which I think our guys needed. And the rest of the staff will hit the road recruiting later today and continue to find future Tigers and continue to progress. But our guys' mindsets in the right area. I've been really pleased with their approach. There's no quit in this group. There's nobody's giving up. They're going to continue to fight, and they know what needs to be done, the standard that we're going to hold ourselves to.
Frank and then Evan.
Hey, Ryan, with Seth being day to day, do you anticipate him being, sitting out practices this week, or will he be a participant?
I think he's going to be a limited participant, and we'll see what he can do. Like I said, I'm never going to put him in harm's way, but when he's full go, we'll get him out there and do stuff. But he's out, like I said, even like last week, out of the practice field doing limited things. And so we'll see what's that.
And then after looking at the tape from over the weekend, I guess what are some takeaways about Parrish and his comfortability in the passing game, and what you can do to kind of help that comfortability if you have to use him for SMU?
Yeah, look, I think Peter did a lot of great things. I really do. I think he battled. I think he gave it his all. I mean, that was the first time that Peter had been tackled in 3 years, right? At least since high school. We're not college football. We don't sit there and bang those guys up on scout team or any of that stuff. So I think he went out there and battled, gave it his all. There's some things, some reads he could have made differently, just reading different coverages, even with some different handoffs, some of the RPO game, which he well knew that, he'd come to the sideline and, had a good recall and said, yeah, that safety did this. I should have done this. But, you feel more comfortable every day. I think getting that in-game experience is huge. It's impossible to replicate. We could do virtual reality. We can do practice reps. We can do even live scrimmage reps, but it's really nothing replicates like, being in front of 40,000 fans and the bright lights on and playing on TV to try to actually, you can't do that on game day or on practice simulation, no matter how hard we try. So that was great. He's one of those that had a great attitude of the coach me coach. What can I do to get better? Mindset, like a lot of our guys did. And he'll continue heading in the right direction. If he's our quarterback, if Seth can't go, then, we'll continue to make decisions based off of Pete's talents and moving forward in that direction.
And if you could, I guess, get inside key a little bit, what is his gauge of confidence level after having, his first college game?
Yeah, I think, right. If we tell him, hey, don't just dip your toe in, we go all the way in, right? And he did. And I think he did gain confidence. Is he pleased with the end result? No. Is he pleased with the turnovers? Absolutely not. Obviously that UCF made 2 excellent interceptions. One was a poor decision and a bad read by Peter. But the other 2 were fantastic plays by the defense. But, I think they did give Peter some confidence. He's able to go in there and compete at a high enough level. And now maybe we'll sit back in the pocket a little bit more. UCF did a nice job with the pass rush. And I think, in the second half, I think Peter started seeing that a little bit more and, wasn't able to get through his full read progressions. But I think just understanding and trusting, going back on film, okay, maybe if I just step in the pocket or take a deep breath, I've got this opportunity to deliver this ball. So I do think his confidence continues to get better. Like quarterbacks, kind of like the kickers, right? That mental aspect of making sure they're confident, but also understand there's things they got to do to continue to improve.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Evan.
Ryan, just to make sure I'm clear, when you say Shamar Nash, I didn't hear specifically. You said, is he done for the year as well too?
No, but he's also a guy that hadn't been able to practice all season. So he hadn't dressed for a game due to an injury. It's, again, I was just trying to look at things from a macroscopic view of all, the guys that were, we were all talking about in the off season. You guys are talking about all these awesome additions, and look, I'm not making excuses, man. We've got to step up and get better. It starts with me. But yeah, we have been unfortunate that, I think part of Drew, you put on the SMU game the other night, the television company, I think they talk about, starting 16 transfers. And, when our thing's all said and done, we may be starting 16 freshmen or redshirt freshmen, but we're going to keep battling, plugging away. And like I said, I'm proud of our guys, and I like your shirt, Evan.
Hey, appreciate it. No problem. I actually had a Sublime shirt on the plane Saturday. Another one.
Nice.
And then the second question I had, injury related, just to be clear, you said Greg Emerson was medically disqualified. Was that something you guys learned before he transferred, or was that something you guys had to learn after he arrived?
After he arrived, either sometimes when people transfer, you're not able to get all the paperwork. I'm not going to sit here play that game of, we weren't told. The biggest thing is always make sure a young man's health and safety is in the best interest. And, he's a guy that's enrolled in school here and doing well academically. But as long as he's healthy, that's, ultimately what we all want.
Gotcha. Okay. So my actual question was with the quarterback situation, with Seth obviously being a limited participant, two things I want to ask. One, who would be the backup if Peter is taking the ones and Seth is a limited participant, just so we can be clear? And second, with obviously the news last week that Keelan Brown transferred, was there any discussions with him leading up to last week trying to make sure, hey, we may have a quarterback situation, we may need you to stick around a little bit?
Yeah, first off, I'm never going to discuss transfers. Guys are no longer on the roster. As you guys well know, there's a variety of reasons that things occur with the portal, and I'll let you guys speculate whatever it is you need to. But then, right now going to the game, I'm still not sure who the backup would be. I think that's one of the things, and I've been as open as honest with you guys about injuries as any coach in the country. You get UCF's depth chart and it hadn't been updated in 6 weeks. There's guys that started the game that hadn't played at all or weren't even listening. They're too deep. So we'll figure out who our backup quarterback will be if Peter is. That's the nice thing about having this extra week. We're going to allow some competition, but look, we got Hunter Helmsley, on there. And then we got, you guys saw Jeremiah Oatsfall, who's had some success as a college quarterback. Let those guys go out there and compete, and we'll continue to figure it out.
That's what I was going to ask. So basically, if it comes down to Jeremiah or Hunter having to back up a little bit, does this extra week kind of give you more time to prepare, not just if Seth can't play, but just if Peter has to go, does it give you more time to kind of prepare those guys? Because obviously we saw them for the first time warming up, at least Jeremiah on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeremiah actually came here to play wide receiver. And that was kind of one of his deals. He was obviously a successful college quarterback at Austin Peay, and he's such a smart young man and wanted to do anything to help the team. So given our quarterback situation, I sat down with him and he was willing. And that shows you how smart he is, the fact that he could recall the offense, move it over to quarterback terminology, and be ready to go.
Thank you.
Brian.
Hey, Coach. There's a lot of teams around the country that is dealing with the injury bug, but it seems like there's more injuries this year than normal years. Do you think last year being such a crazy year and the way people had to train and practice, do you think that has anything to do with it, or is this just a fluke year?
Brian, that's a great question. And it's actually been one of those things that's been asked. The NFL is dealing a lot with it. And, if you talk to coaches in the NFL, I'm not medical people, but coaches in the NFL, they'll blame it on lack of off-season preparation, right? Limited preseason work, right? Lack of OTAs, lack of work. And then all of a sudden these guys come in and get some of that issue. Last year, I think there were some injuries because of shortened training camp for people. And this year, I'm not sure, what it is. That's, why we're having these. Obviously, when broken bones and ligaments are involved, that's just a lot of it's fluke, right? Bad luck. And you can't sit there and say, oh, the guy's just trying to hold himself out. When there's surgeries involved, that's part of the issue. But, I wish I had an exact reasoning why, because you're right, there are teams throughout the country dealing with different injuries. Why it's occurring more so, but when I say when it's ligaments and bones, there's nothing determined. Now, if it's soft tissue, is it the off-season work? Was it a change of pace of different things? I'm not sure exactly, that fine line of what it is. We're constantly talking to our medical staff and our athletic trainers and our strength and conditioning coaches to make sure our guys, are doing everything in their power to take care of their bodies to prepare themselves for, a 60-minute fight.
Back to Evan.
Ryan, with this bye week coming up, just curious, just kind of what's now that you got that time to think about that game, obviously 4 games to go, there's a lot of things that are at stake with the season. How much do you guys focus on, obviously one game at a time, but also in the back of your mind, think that, there is a limited amount of time to just kind of get the season turned around, heading into these last 4 games?
Yeah, Evan, I think the biggest thing like this, we just talk about focusing on ourselves and finding ways to improve. And I challenge each player to say, okay, what's the one thing you need to do to personally improve? And in fact, I had the entire staff, myself included, write down, hey, what are the things that you need to improve upon as an individual? And then what are some things we can do to improve as a team that you can do to help us collectively improve as a team? And I think that's just part of getting better every single day, making sure that we are understanding that whether it's, we're playing 4 more weeks or we're fortunate to play, 8 more weeks, whatever that looks like, that we're taking advantage of it. I think our guys understand the sense of urgency. That's the one thing is I've always been very realistic with them and straightforward, and they know that we got to get better. And it starts this week, preparing for ourselves. And obviously we'll focus on SMU maybe when we get back at it a little bit more. But right now it's just clean up the details of our game because we can't continue to go out there and perform the way we are. We're towards the bottom in turnover margin. I showed the team that yesterday, and that's quite disappointing.
I was going to ask about that too, because it seems as if, which part of it is more concerning? Is it you guys turning the ball over, or is it the defense not being able to get those takeaways?
I'll always start with us turning the ball over. I mean, I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we've had 6 fumbles and 7 interceptions on the season through 8 games. And that's puts you towards the bottom of college football. And that's not acceptable, and you sit there and go through it and you say, okay, well, what do we do to fix it? It's different guys getting different things, right? Calvin Austin, arguably our best player and one of the best punt returners in college football, turned the ball or made a poor decision on a punt return. And, we talked about the fumbles early in the season with some of our running backs, some of the picks, making irrational decisions on some passes. So you add all that together and you end up with a 4-4 record. Now, obviously, we want the defense to be able to go get takeaways. But how do we solve, the turnover issues? That's the age-old question. I'm constantly searching, guys. I'm calling around. I'm saying, for 23 years, what can we do to figure out ways to own the football? And our guys understand. We talk about it, but we've got to find a way to get it done, or else we'll be singing the same song and dance for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Last one for Frank.
Ryan, I want to go back to you mentioned you had players and coaching staff write down on a piece of paper. How did that go? I guess how honest and vulnerable did the team get in that moment?
Yeah, well, I think that's, Frank, when things aren't going well, I always tell them, let's look in the mirror first. It's easy when adversity hits. And I mentioned this early in the season, Frank, to point fingers at other people, right? And I stepped in front of the team right after the game. I said, you guys blame me. Let's blame me. I've got to get better. And I've got to look in the mirror and figure out what I got to improve. But like I said, most of our guys are smart enough to understand that we all got to get this thing right and fixed, and self-accountability. So it was great. I mean, they all wrote their name on their card and they all wrote down things. And they knew I was going to collect them just to look at them. And it's impressive because it shows you where their mindset's at. And some guys are being really real with themselves. And I said, look, it may even be something small as I need to fix my back bet on this. I don't think anybody puts on our film, Frank, and says, man, that team just loafs around. They've quit. They don't care. There's no energy. All that stuff's there. It's just the technical things we got to continue to execute at a higher level.
Do you think this is something that could be used in a concrete form in terms of looking at these next games? If some of these things are fixed, you think this could be like, look, player X, you said you needed to work on such and such, and you did that on this film. kind of
Yes, absolutely. I think we know, all of us in this world today, but especially 18 to 22-year-olds, if they can see it, if there's evidence, and especially you can show them something they can physically see, okay, hey, you said you wanted to work on your swim move, right? Okay, well, hey, look, here it is. You're working on it at practice. Now here it is showing up in the game, or here's you working on it after practice, watching film of NFL guys. Here it is working on extra, this week, next week. Oh, it showed up in a game. That's what we're talking about. And you show them like, this is how you can have success. If you, things, I always say this, we can write stuff down. We can all write down goals, things we want to improve upon. But if we don't act upon it, and then it's just floating in the wind. So I'm going to constantly remind them, but yeah, you're exactly right, Frank. The more concrete they can say, okay, hey, this is why this is occurring. And if they're improving upon it, then we'll give ourselves a better chance. But if we can certainly show them how it works, man, we're all better off.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.